Hey, what's up? This is your girl Diamond. How are you? So I want to talk. Is that okay? Okay, here we go. So, of course, I am nowhere near on time with this subject at all. So I wanted to talk about my mixed bag of Ferguson shit. I have such a mixed emotional cauldron going on when it comes to this stuff. There's a part of me, the black part of me, that is offended, fearful, tired, appalled, angry, numb, impatient. There's a part, the black side of me is that. The black side of me understands protesting and the frustration and the anger and all of those descriptive words that I just gave. But the trans side of me is almost annoyed by the fact that when things happen to us that are similarly full of injustice, that people act like, they either act like they don't see it, act like they don't care, turn a blind eye to it, or they blame us. Or they say this is a result of us being who we are. You choose to be who you are, so these are the results when you choose. See, you choose to be gay, so when they bash you, you choose to be trans, so when people taunt and tease you, I mean, that's what comes with the territory. So I feel like, to kind of give you a metaphor of how I feel, say you have a family, you have your brothers or sisters that you grew up with, and you got some sisters and brothers that you kind of closer to, but you got that one sister that is a fucking bitch that gets on your fucking nerves, and when she's in trouble, whatever that feeling is right there, she's in trouble, you gotta help her because that's your sister, but you feel like, bitch, this is what you get. And that's kind of how I feel. That's that mixed bag of Ferguson shit that I'm talking about, where as a black person, I know I'm supposed to be protesting and showing my outrage and spreading the word, but the trans side of me, or LGBT side of me, says, see, now y'all motherfuckers get a taste of what we get, or y'all get a taste of some type of injustice. When CC McDonald was almost going to jail, well, she did go to jail, but permanently in jail for killing someone in self-defense, the injustice that went along with that situation, nobody had an outcry about it. That was outside of our community. When injustices happen, when DeWanna Johnson was beaten in the police station by the cops, nobody had an outrage about it. That wasn't in our communities. I didn't see no protesting. I didn't see anything that was outside of our community. Nobody said anything. So maybe it's just because in my circle I didn't see it, but it definitely wasn't to this magnitude. I never see things to this magnitude. And maybe thinking that something big will happen from it is wishful thinking, since we're such a smaller community compared to the rest. But part of me feels like I'm defending and standing up for that bitch ass sister that never does shit for me, that never does anything for me, that never looks out for me. As a Black community, they're always marching, especially the Black church. They're always marching against anything that has to do with LGBT, anything. They're always, I don't know. They're always doing something negative. I always get bullshit from the Black community. I always get blatant disrespect from Black men. Since Ferguson is a Black male issue we're having a problem with, you know, that demographic, I have some touchy emotional baggage with the Black male demographic when it comes to them being an ally or enemy. There is an issue there that is unhealed within inside of me. So when I have to be in a position where I see injustice towards them and I have to come to their defense, that wound is still there, mending, yet I have to defend because there is injustice. And if, as Martin Luther King says, if there's injustice everywhere, anywhere, that's injustice for us all, or whatever. I can't remember the quote. Something about injustice anywhere to anybody. That's it. It questions and is a threat to justice for us all. Anyway, so I can't remember the exact quote, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So because that wound is there, I feel weird coming to the defense of my enemy. And this is coming from somebody from Black male experience. So, you know, I bring to the table Black male experience. You know, I just do. That's just the history of who I am. You know, years ago, but I've had experiences where I was just uncomfortable being a Black male, where in order to be treated fairly and not as harsh, I had to turn on my gay male swag when I was a boy. I remember, you know, when I would encounter cops, if I be more faggy, they would tone down their aggressiveness towards me. When they thought I was just a regular boy, they would be more aggressive in their tone. But when they knew that I was, hey, Miss Thing, oh, hey, sir, how are you, copper? How are, you know, when I cut that on, when I cut on the fag, that protected me. That femininity, that over-the-top flamboyancy, even though that wasn't me naturally, that cutting that on triggers in the cop's mind that this is not a regular threatening Black male. This is one of those sugar cakes. And so they would treat me in a way that was different. But if I did not cut that on, it would stay aggressive. It would stay really disrespectful, really authoritative, and nowhere near trying to be friendly. Even in a situation where, you know, I'm not a criminal. So, you know, I'm always in situations with cops where I'm not breaking a law. So, just situations where if I'm in an incident, I remember I was in an incident where two people were fighting at an apartment that I was in. I was in the apartment and they started to fight, and the police was called and they came, and I didn't have anything to do with the fight. I didn't live in this apartment. I wanted to just go home, and they were asking me for ID, and it was just giving me all this mess. And I was like, you know, just situations like that where I'm not in the situation, but cops are just around. Sometimes you have to cut on that gayness in order for them to treat you not so much like a regular Black male, because Black males are treated more aggressively. Which brings me to my other mixed bag of feelings. Now, we're going to keep it real in this section. Now, This is nowhere near victim blaming. This situation has nothing to do with the Black community as a whole. But we're going to talk about stereotypes. You know, when you're talking to somebody, you want to use I. You don't want people to get offended. You use I and use yourself as an example when you're trying to teach them a lesson. Or you're trying to teach them something. So let's say transsexuals. Transsexuals have a stereotype of being clocky, loud, overly ultra gay, feminine, or whores, prostitutes, over sexualized, human blow up dolls, uneducated, all of those things. Okay, now, keeping it real, how many transsexuals do you know that have prostituted? Even if they're not prostituting now, the majority? Think about the girls that you know. If you're a trans girl, think about the girls that you know. Do you know an escort? Probably so. Do you know multiple? Probably so. Now, is that true for all of them? Absolutely not. But there's a reason why that stereotype is there. Now, we're not going to get into why they are escorts, because a lot of times they can't get jobs. Some of them it's because they are not passable and people will not hire them because, you know, I know what you are and I don't want that kind of distracting my work or running away my customers or whatever the reasons. They are not getting jobs, so they have to go to street work and illegal work in order to survive. You know, we don't have to get in the reasons of them. My point is, a lot of times stereotypes have some type of truth within them. Take it back to the Black community. Now that I've talked about let's talk about you girls. Black guys can be a little bit overly aggressive. That's just the truth. Sometimes they can be thuggy. Sometimes they can be ratchet. Sometimes they can be robbing and stealing and doing shit that they're not supposed to with no remorse, no regret. Simple as that. We know people out here. We know that that's not always the case, but in the hood, you know that that can be the case. That's just it. Cops deal with them all the time. This particular incident, baby, stop. Baby, listen. No. But we know this stereotype of the Black male does not come from anywhere. It does not come from just, out of thin air. Yes, I think it's over exaggerated by other races in their assumptions, but I also think it's under exaggerated by our race. So that's another thing. I sympathize with what some of these fucking races say. Certain things I'm like, it's hard for me to defend that because I agree with it. You know, it just certain situations that have held true in I've been in situations where I felt like the conflict shouldn't have escalated this far, but because you're fucking ratchet, you are fitting into the stereotype and you took it too far. And certain incidents recently that have nothing to do with this, like the Eric Gardner situation. Come on, y'all, that has nothing to do with stereotyping. That's just you whole ass cops going too far. It's just it's so many things, so many levels. Like even my boss today, she wanted to come on because here in Houston, they started to protest, and they protest this Saturday and they shut down the mall. I was so happy about it. You know, I was so excited about it. And to see them protesting, I'm I'm just happy to be alive in this time where I can see some actual protests going on. But my boss was saying that she thought it was stupid. What's the point in doing it? And, you know, she's a white Russian girl that, you know, walks around with her Ducks Dynasty cup. We know how they feel about stuff. And she thinks it's stupid. And her best friend is black. She thinks it's stupid and she feels like it accomplishes nothing. And I was like, well, it accomplishes awareness. And this is my boss. And I don't really want to have that kind of conversation. I don't really want to say, when she says, I think this is stupid, I don't really want to say, I think you're stupid for thinking it's stupid. I don't want to say that. She made a comment of, something about, she just doesn't see the big deal. But when she said it's not such a big deal, to me, that's just your privilege shining through. Because if it affected you as it affects other people, it would be a big deal. That's why your privilege allowed you to not think that this is a big deal. But and I told her that. I said, well, consider yourself blessed to not have to worry about it. And as she responds, I say, let's just talk about work. Let's not even talk about this situation, because I don't want this situation I just don't want that kind of energy. So let's talk about something else. But, I have a mixed bag of feelings about the whole thing. Part of me is it's like an emotional tug of war. Like, I know that there is injustice, but part of me is that I know that there's some hypocrisy in the situation. And that's just my thoughts. It's just my opinion and thoughts and rambling, and I don't want to go any further rambling, but share your thoughts, share how you feel, and, in the comment section. And, I'll be back real soon. Bye-bye. Oh, I have a new kitty cat. Y'all want to see her? She's a tonk. Say hi. Really? She's a light-skinned red bone with blue eyes. And acts like one.